Is my screen? Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. Hello from the Template EU project, and thank you for having us today. Pozdrav svima u Belgradu. My name is Anita Kienle, and I'm a language teacher, researcher, and a PhD candidate from Germany.
And my name is Carmen Notari. I work for Universitat Jaume I in Spain, and I'm an associate professor, and I also work in the Language Center and also a PhD student. Today, my colleague Anita and I would like to share with you one of the final stages of a European project we are involved in, which is, as Anita said, Template Project. And today we would like to talk to you about some opinions and reflections that our teachers, our participant teachers, have shared with us regarding a training they had followed on a webinar-based format regarding plurilingualism and language teaching. Please, Anita. The two main columns of our project are plurilingualism and digital tools. Why plurilingualism? Well, obviously, because it is a reality in our classrooms. Our classrooms are full of plurilingual speakers. And why not taking advantage of that and making the most out of that plurilingualism and those abilities? And, well, digital tools, because, as you know, especially after the pandemic, they have become a must in our classrooms too. And we especially kind of concerned about the expectations, the needs that our teachers have regarding digital tools. Anita? Just for you to have some background, Template, which stands for Technology-Mediated Plurilingual Activities for Language Teacher Education, involves 5 universities in Europe: Germany, Spain, Italy, Belgium, and Lithuania. We work with pre-service and in-service teachers. And our final goal is to offer open resources for the teaching community to help them integrate plurilingualism and digital tools, both in language and CLIL classes. The steps we have followed so far, as I said before, we are in the final stages of it. But at the very beginning, we obviously had to find out what our teachers, both pre-service and in-service, knew about telecollaboration, plurilingualism, the use of technology, and CLIL, because those are the 4 main focuses of our project. And after that, once we knew what they thought, what the previous knowledge, we just provided them with the appropriate training, information, resources, tools to help them implement tasks, activities, practices in the real classrooms. They shared with us after that, they had the space, the time to reflect on the practices, to reflect on the activities they had done, if they were feasible or not, if they were realistic for the real classrooms. They shared with us their opinions and their reflections. And with all those, with all that information, we created the case studies. Now, case studies have been taken forward, and we have extended these practices towards regional seminars and also the webinars, which are the main point of our presentation. Anita? So we have carried out 3 webinars. Today, we will only speak about 2 of them, only the ones that Anita and her team, the German team, and myself and my team, the Spanish one, have managed. But there were 3. The third one was taken care of by the Belgian team. So we had one about telecollaboration, which is the one that Anita will present. Another one about CAL, computer-assisted language learning, which was managed by the Belgian team. And then our team managed the CLIL in the Plurilingual Classroom webinar. In these webinars, participants belong to the 5 countries in the consortium, in the project. So 5 different countries and 5 teachers per country. Anita, please.
So, thank you, Carmen. I would like to tell you a little bit about the webinar structure. So all 3 webinars followed the same structure. There was a pre-task, which consisted of reflection on case studies. This way, the teachers received an email with the case studies and some reflective questions, and we ensured the flip format. Once we met online using Zoom, there was a 30-minute theoretical background input. So we presented the materials we developed in one of the outputs. and this was recorded. Lastly, the teachers worked together in smaller groups, and this part was, of course, not recorded. Let me tell you about the pre-task a little bit more. So in our case, the webinar about plurilingual telecollaboration had this very long name: communicate, connect, and collaborate. This time we have the 3 C's, practical ideas on how to design and implement telecollaboration in foreign language education. Well, we sent 4 case studies, 1 primary school context and 3 primary school context and 1 secondary school context. The teachers were given questions to reflect on telecollaboration project, about plurilingualism, use of technology. Once we met online, we first presented an example of an ongoing virtual exchange. This is the so-called case study 4. Then we talked about telecollaboration goals. We talked about how to integrate virtual exchange into the curriculum. We talked about telecollaboration phases, how to make it plurilingual, and we also presented the e-twinning platform, which was mentioned earlier today in another presentation. We also focused on how to teach culture in class and the difference between large and small cultures. At the very end, we went back to the original, so the example of the ongoing virtual exchange, and we connected theory and practice based on this very example. And then, as I said, the teachers were working together in groups. So in smaller groups, in breakout rooms, each group got assigned a case study. We had a Padlet with some reflective questions, and they shared their experiences, their thoughts on these tasks, but also other tasks that they knew from their personal experiences.
Regarding the CLIL webinar, we followed the same structure. The name of the webinar, as you can see, was Digital Tools for the CLIL Plurilingual Classroom, Make the Most of Your Language Teaching. And we also provided the teachers, the participant, with 4 case studies, in this case, 2 for secondary school and 2 for primary school. They were very detailed lesson plans with all the links, all the material, all the activities, and also some reflections by the teacher who had implemented the tasks in the classroom. And we asked the teachers to reflect just from their own about the use of technology and plurilingualism in the CLIL and language classrooms that they could find in the case studies. Anita, please. When the day of the webinar came, the same way that the German team did, we started with a theoretical background. We wanted to make sure they knew the difference between plurilingualism and multilingualism, that they knew what a plurilingual task in CLIL was, and also that they were aware of what digital competence was, as we were dealing with these 3 elements. And then we also gave them some examples, presenting the SAMR model and the TPAC model. And just for them to believe us, right? We also supported our theories and our suggestions with some research findings. Finally, we provided them with some resources that are already available, open and online. Please. Okay. Then the same way that the other webinar did, we split teachers into groups, breakout rooms. Each group had to talk about one specific case study. And we also asked them to reflect on the case studies elements on a Padlet. So we asked them questions about the role of technology in the tasks, the role of plurilingualism in the tasks, and the perceptions, their challenges and stuff. And finally, and as you will see, it is a spoiler, they liked a lot sharing opinions with their mates.
Okay, I'm sorry, I skipped.
That's okay. That's all right. That's all right.
So in the next section, we would like to tell you about the teachers' reflections. First of all, what was written on Padlet. As we explained, reflections of Padlet were done on the day of the webinar based on the case studies, actual case studies that teachers implemented in real classrooms. For the webinar Plurilingual Telecollaboration, we first asked them about obstacles when implementing such tasks in at their own school or their own classrooms. Teachers mostly talked about availability of gadgets and software. So as we know, in Europe, but also in the whole world, the availability of gadgets, it's not the same. Some schools have it, others do not. So this is a big question. It's very time consuming. So if you want to implement a virtual exchange in your classroom, it takes a lot of time to prepare. It takes time to actually implement it. And then you have the reflective phase at the end. So teachers are also not flexible with their time, as we know. And time management was highlighted as one of the possible obstacles. Lastly, they also mentioned data protection. Since we're mostly working with minors, we have to be aware that we have to protect all their personal data. Also, when it comes to the choice of platform, because not all platforms are secure as the others. When asked about potential transferability to their own teaching contexts, and we also asked them about how they could adapt these tasks to their own teaching context, they agreed that most of these activities are transferable, but maybe they would be adapted. So this adaptation would perhaps be extra activities, choosing other topics, using some non-tech approaches if necessary, and using times from other lessons, because occasionally, if you have to meet with another school on a certain day, maybe you do not have an English lesson on that day, so you have to kind of compensate a little bit here and there and take time. Lastly, they also mentioned permission letters from parents, so you have to make sure to inform the parents that their child is involved in such a task. However, when it came to the benefits of an online international telecollaboration, they saw many. As you can see here, practicing digital skills as well as language skills, students being very motivated, and it's a great substitute for traveling and getting to know other cultures. An additional benefit that one teacher mentioned is to combine synchronous and asynchronous activities. So you do not always have to be, even if it's a telecollaboration project, you do not always have to be online and communicate with the other classroom all the time. Actually, that is the smaller part of the telecollaboration project. You usually do a lot of activities asynchronously as well.
And well, regarding yes, thank you. Regarding the results of the reflections on Padlet on the CLIL webinar, we also asked about benefits and challenges. Among the benefits, they realized that plurilingualism allowed the students to understand the topic better and to communicate better, as they were actually allowed to use one of the languages they had a good command in. They also realized that technology was pretty engaging for students, and also that by using plurilingualism, by introducing plurilingualism in their CLIL classes, students could find the terms, words, vocabulary they were working with much more easily on the media and the internet than if they were just searching for those terms in a single language. There were also some challenges, and here this is not a coincidence, but it is a common challenge that we have in both webinars: the availability of technology and software. Not all the classrooms are equipped with the right technology to make use of these tools. Again, the planning and timing, they have a syllabus, they really need to stick to the syllabus, and sometimes these tasks take time to prepare and to handle in class. And finally, and we thought that this was pretty funny, it is true that technology motivates students, but they said that they were over-motivated, so motivated that sometimes it was difficult to keep them disciplined. So let's keep that one as a benefit and as a challenge too. Please. All right. Regarding the adaptability or how to use these activities in the real context, one of the Spanish teachers, and this was also common in the Lithuanian ones, said that, well, since basically here in most areas of the country, we have two mother tongues, we're bilingual, expanding towards the third language, in this case, English was the best way to work. And Lithuania also agreed that bettering the third foreign language, the one that the students choose, would be a really good idea. They also talked about adapting, and they talked about adapting to dialect instead of using, like, let's say the major languages use the dialects in the regions, and also searching for meaningful content, because they believe that some of the content in the case studies was probably maybe too region-oriented or too country-oriented, and they would like to adapt it in terms of content too.
Okay, As I said, the first reflection was done on the day of the webinar using Padlet. But then after all three webinars took place, we asked the teachers, participating teachers, to take part in a survey. The survey had a very simple structure. They were asked about their professional background, expectation, knowledge, content, delivery method, collaboration with other teachers. We also asked them to highlight one biggest takeaway, as well as readiness to implement the newly acquired knowledge in their classroom. And then lastly, if they were interested in taking part in similar webinars or seminars. So when it comes to the webinar on plurilingual telecollaboration, here we have some of the expectations. So this gives us a better look into what teachers actually need, what real practicing teachers need. So as you can see here, they are looking for activities where students can use the language they know with students from other countries and backgrounds. Teachers want to meet other teachers, obviously, and they also want to discover new tools, and they want to listen to other colleagues who have experienced things like telecollaboration. After the webinar, we asked them if the expectations were met, and they said it was an enriching meeting, and the practical part, the part where they collaborated with other teachers, was very stimulating. And then we also see here that they enjoy the talks and they like to compare different school systems. This was a very interesting comment. Here we see the perception of collaboration with other teachers for our webinar on plurilingual telecollaboration. Valuable and informative, they mostly agree. One person did not agree, but there you have it, variety. It also helped them to gain a better understanding of the different teaching contexts and providing the teachers with new ideas and perspectives on teaching. Biggest takeaway, students of any age can experience telecollaboration, and this is absolutely true. And then I really like this quote. It said the textbook used a nation-based approach to teach culture, which does not do justice to the complexity of cultures and leads to overgeneralization and perpetuating stereotypes. Therefore, through telecollaboration, we can start changing that approach and teach culture in a more dynamic and motivational way. Great quote.
All right, and regarding the survey results about the CLIL webinar, as you can see, our participants were not as talkative as in the German one, but the expectations they had about the webinar were obviously, first of all, getting to know CLIL more in depth, and they expected to see activities, they expected to see the practice, how to create, how to adapt activities for plurilingual classrooms and also using CLIL. And obviously they wanted to be inspired by the content, which is quite difficult, right? Something that they liked a lot, and well, we think we met their expectations, and something that they highlighted was the multimodal characteristics of the case studies, using visuals, written text, several like audio, and using all those sources in the same case studies, in the same activities, was something that they really loved. And again, they go back to having available software, being able to use any of the resources we presented from any kind of platform was something that they really loved. So in general, we thought they were satisfied. Please, Anita. Regarding the part in which they had to collaborate with the other teachers, as you can see, they all loved it. They thought it was valuable and informative. Again, it helped them understand different teaching contexts. And again, it gave them ideas and perspective on teaching. And the takeaways, one more time, they really love being with other teachers. They love sharing experiences. They love to see what's happening in other countries and how things are done. And then they also valued the use of different languages in a CLIL context, not just English, but also different languages to help students understand better the content that they are studying.
Okay, thank you, Carmen. This brings us to the very end of our presentation. We would like to tell you about the future prospect of the Template EU project. At the end of May, we have a template multiplier event in Turin, in Italy. We're also going to make the webinars available on the template YouTube channel. And we're currently, as Carmen has already mentioned, finalizing all the intellectual outputs, and they're going to be available on the project website. So make sure to visit our website, and for the full list of references, you can contact either of us and we'll provide them. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any questions? In the room here, no. What about on